Gaffer, quick look back on the weekend. Have you had a chance to look back on it?
Yeah, obviously, as you fell on coach trip, to reflect on the game and look at things and try and think of things we could have done better or ways we could have maybe, got the win. But I think the players are doing nearly everything they can at the minute. We're creating chances, they're working hard, they're playing some decent football. We certainly had got opportunities to go, 2-3-1 up, in the game, and then it's a different light on it. Even at 2-2, we have good opportunities, to go on and win it. And not naive, but they're desperate to win. They're desperate to win, and they're pushing forward and driving forward, and we get caught out with a sucker punch with only seconds left.
How frustrating is it that it is such fine margins and you are doing so much right? Because I guess if you were doing loads wrong and you could see loads wrong, it'd be a bit easier to put it right.
It kind of would, because the only thing that the points are the same, aren't they? Mm-hmm. When you get beat 4-0 or 5-0, like some of the teams are getting beat at the weekend. We've never been in that situation. We've never been outclassed. We've never had a drubbing. We've never come off where the players feel inferior or that there wasn't a plan to go and hurt the opposition and stop the opposition. I don't think we've had that in any of the games, barring the first half at Rotherham, really. But even then they showed a lot of spirit to come back and could have got something out of the game. So against some of these top sides, with vast budgets and players who've played in the Premier League, we've given a really good account of ourselves and shown that we can match them, and beat them really if we get the rub of the green and rub of the ball. We've just got to keep believing right until the end. There's a mini season going on now. You're starting from scratch. There's a mini season with 6 or 7 teams involved in it really, and we've got to make sure that we don't finish in the bottom 3 of them 6 or 7 teams.
You mentioned a plan. I think it's important to highlight there is a plan when we go into these games, because I think some people want to see more attacking players on the pitch and stuff like that, but we're scoring goals and we're creating chances. It doesn't matter that there's only one guy officially as a striker, for example, up there.
I think if you look at the sides at the top of the league, even Newcastle, they don't play like that anyway. They have a plan to play the ball and pass the ball around and rotations. Chelsea have got one striker in their side. Really, that's all they've got. I don't think there's many teams in world football play with 2 out-and-out centre forwards. And it's all right to do that. I've been at a club that's played that way. But you then need other players who are that good at doing other things in other positions, that you can stop the opposition as well as have your own style of play to create chances. We've got to have that. We're not Barcelona. We're not going out there just thinking we can just do what we want and forget about the opposition, because if you do that against the likes of Fulham or Norwich, or Sheffield Wednesday, you might never get the ball. Mm-hmm. You've got to be competitive, that you've got a way of stopping them playing and getting the football and then imposing your style and brand, on them. That's what football is at the highest level. They're the questions, they're the decisions that you've got to make. That's how sides play. Germany won the World Cup playing no forwards. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a forward in the side. But they had a method of playing where they keep the ball, move the ball around. They knew how to close down. They know how to make chances. They know where runs are coming from. And it's not as simple as just standing people up, playing 2 out-and-out wingers who stand on the touchline, 2 centre forwards who stand in the middle of the pitch, 2 in midfield and 4 at the back. It's not as simple as questions asked in this league tactically by a number of foreign managers, a number of managers with very high budgets who've got an armoury of clever players who've all played and technically bright, have played in Premier Leagues, a lot of them. So they can afford that arrogance, if you like, because they've got that kind of artillery. We've got to be able to stop them sides from hurting us and then impose our style on them, and I think we've done that, really. I think we've been in the games, we've never got a battering by anybody. We've been in every game that we've played some good football. The lads have been flat out. They're giving everything they possibly can, to stay in the league. And if they're doing that, you've always a chance. If there's no plan and you're just relying on maybe a little bit like the Rotherham game first half, where we just went for it and we got exposed and undone by a side that's below us in the league. You know, the league is too high of a standard to have that arrogance, you know, about us, that we don't have to think about the opposition and what they do with the ball.
I suppose proof in the pudding in what you're saying, Gaffer, in the Michael Jacobs goal at the weekend, because you got your midfielders in around the box, and that was a really nice goal that you scored.
Well, you want goals from, you know, all over the pitch. We've had a right back scoring at Burton and the left back's crossing it, the far post. You know, and if you've got movement like that, it's more difficult to deal with, you know, and contain, you know. And Morse is chipped in with goals. You want rotations, you want clever play, you want people who are bright and making runs. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a time, you know, that Grigg and Bogle, or Grigg and another striker, Obertan or Mandarin or Bogle, it doesn't mean there's a time that it's not right for two to play together. It's just got to be matched in with us on that particular day to win that particular game, really. You know, and with that in mind, that we've got to always be able to stop the opposition playing, and we've also have a method to our play to give them a problem on their weaknesses.
I just want to mention Michael Jacobs. It's been a long time since he scored. I know it was getting him down a bit, so good for his confidence to get on the match.
I mean, good. You know, he's a good footballer. He's really impressed me since he's come to the. He's done everything we've asked him to do in a variety of positions. That's the last thing, really, goals, because I think if you look over the last several weeks, he's had good opportunities. Even Saturday, he scored one, but really could have had a hat trick. You know, good opportunity in the second half. He comes on his right foot with a goal gaping. You're thinking it's a goal, and then in the dying seconds when he's coming in at the far post from Collins Closs, that you're thinking, you know, maybe snatching the winner as well there. You know, so on another day with a bit of luck, you know, he gets a hat trick. You know, and he's capable of doing that. He's a clever player. He's an honest player. He's quick. He's got a good touch. He's tough. You know, he's got a lot of real pluses about him as an individual footballer for this football club.
On to Wolves. What have you made of their progress under Paul Lambert of late?
Well, I think they've topsy-turvy season, haven't they? You know, they've got, obviously at the start of the season, massive profile going into the club, massive amount of dough spent on the players. You know, players coming in 8, 10, 12 million. You know, like, it's not a lot of money, and even with all those players on that high prices coming, it's not easy to gel together. Coming from different countries, I think they found that as a problem. They've bought players in again in the last window, so they've certainly an abundance of players, you know, to pick from. We know it's not going to be an easy game. We know how they play, and we've got to set out, you know, again, no different the other game, with a game plan to try and beat them.
You mentioned just earlier it's a bit of a mini season now, and you look at the next 6 games coming up. On paper, they're not the size at the top, they're around us, lower mid-table. It's a big period, isn't it, this year? This is where, when you play the teams around you, you can make your impact on the league table.
Well, but I don't think we've been inferior to even the top sides, you know, and that's the thing that you're trying to stress to the players again today, that, you know, with a little bit of luck, the last 3 games you could have had 9 points. Now Sheffield Wednesday battered Birmingham on Friday night, Norwich then battered Nottingham Forest, you know, and they're beating them by 3 goals and 5 goals. You know, we've always been in every game that we've played. It's always been close. We've always had a chance of winning all the games, you know, and we've just got to have the same approach, really, to give ourselves a chance to winning, that the game's not out of reach, and hopefully turn some of the really good performances into getting more points on the board.
Any update on Jakob Haugaard? Obviously went off at half time at the weekend.
I think there's a period that he can't play with concussion, so you know he'll obviously be out.
Mm-hmm. And then new lads are going to continue to be spoken about. Sorry, how are they developing fitness-wise? I know you want to get them up to scratch.
Well, we've got another game on Wednesday. You know, that will give lads either 60 minutes or 90 minutes. You know, back on the route to get them back up to top match fitness. So, you know, that'll help those players.